Hey, it's Sam, and I'm making this quick video about the upcoming eclipse that we have in Libra, the solar eclipse that's happening on October 25th. It says here, explosive times ahead. I'm going to be looking at that solar eclipse in Libra for you, and also as it relates to different cultural issues. Of course, the spiritual energy that it's really evoking at this time. But there's also a lot of cultural issues and whatnot that we're working through right now. As you see, I put a few up here: women's rights, war. There are others, of course. That's the sort of background of the world that we're seeing right now. Around the world, we have the women's rights blowing up in Iran, in America, the court overturning Roe v. Wade, denying access to abortion, things like this. But again, also we have this war in Ukraine, rise of authoritarianism. Again, I'm going to talk about those things in this free web class. It's free for you. You see there's a thing that says register now. It's very easy to do that. As I'm recording this, there's a upcoming initiation of the web class. Will be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. This will be pre-recorded, but I have people make an appointment so that you could sit down and really watch this, more than an hour-long presentation. It's really a free class rather than just upload it on YouTube or something. I have it this way because, again, when you have these really long classes, people don't watch them long enough. So if you're not interested in just registering for it, then you're probably not interested, but you should be interested because really the eclipses are some of the most important things that we've ever measured as human beings. The earliest records that we kept of the planets moving through the sky and the lunation cycles, the new moons, the full moons, the year, the seasons. One of the earliest things that we also measured was the eclipses, because they knew how important eclipses were to our collective psyche and consciousness. And again, what happens when the eclipses run, it's a time when we see the darker forces that have been lurking in our world suddenly explode into the light, demanding attention. So wherever the nodes are, those issues are happening quite a lot. As I'm recording this again in October, we're very close to the solar eclipse in Libra, so all of those Libra aspects of the nodal axis right now are becoming more prominent. Earlier, let's say from the spring to maybe the middle of the summer, the Aries parts of the nodal axis, which is where Rahu is, were much more prominent. This is why that's when we saw things like the beginning of that war and, for example, the court's decisions and things like that to take away rights. Now we're starting to see backlash against those things. For example, even that war isn't going so well, but it's tricky. Women are rising up, but it's tricky, right? So again, this is a kind of way that you can see how the nodal axis is always showing. Now again, we can look culturally to see those things in the world, but also in your life. So the most important thing for you about this free class is that based on where your rising sign is, for example, you're experiencing this nodal axis quite different. If you're a Virgo, Mars has been, I'm sorry, not Mars, but Rahu has been in Aries, your 8th house, and that end of the eclipse has been much more prominent. Now this eclipse in Libra is showing the 2nd house sort of balancing of these two forces that have been, hanging out there with a lot of force, but maybe not explosive in your life, not blowing up so much. Each of the 12 signs I'll talk about on this web class, so you will be able to get a lot out of it based on your sign. If you're a Leo, it's, Libra's in the 3rd house. If you're Cancer, Libra's in the 4th house. Again, because this is that solar eclipse in Libra. The other thing is, you see, I have these images from the Ramayana. This is Lord Rama. This is Sita. This is Hanuman. One of the other things that's very important is this solar eclipse coincides with Diwali, which is the festival of light in India, and these themes of Swati Nakshatra, which are also wrapped around this entire story, will also be referenced, particularly as it aligns us with higher spiritual potentials right now. Because again, this is the biggest and most important part of this upcoming eclipse for your spiritual practices or what have you, is how to really align and go through these sort of trials by fire. We're really going through a trial by fire right now. And for example, that's really a main theme of the Ramayana with Lord Rama and Sita and whatnot. And this nakshatra and this time of the year are ripe and rich with this type of sacred mythology, which is not just, stories to tell ourselves. These stories are coordinated with this time of the year, and it's always that way. But now that we're having an eclipse on these very sensitive points in the zodiac, it's even more important. So you'll learn how Ketu brings focus and illumination as well as frustration, and how this eclipse will affect you based on your sign, how it affects others in your life, again, based on their sign, spiritual tools and practices that help you individually at this time, the Swati Nakshatra story and how that can help, as well as the divine connection to the Indian epic, the Ramayana, and these trial by fire, these trials by fire. So all you do is you go here and then you enter your full name and email and then you click register. When you do, you'll also go to a page, I'm also doing a special on the lunar nodes, a master class that you could get. It's like 4.5 hours of classes on the nodes. It's greatly reduced rather than being like $25, which you normally expect to pay for about 5 hours of classes. It's only $4.95. And I go over all of these very important aspects of the lunar nodes. You could see how young and good looking I was when I taught this, but the material is still relevant. I was actually in my early 40s when I taught this. I've always looked young, but I wasn't that young. So you just click register now for that, and you can also start watching hours of master classes on the lunar nodes, only $5. So again, I hope you take me up on these offers. This is free here to learn about this solar eclipse in Libra. We can see its indicators, mirrored all around us. Of course, it's also affecting your life, but it's not just affecting it in general with these themes of Libra and Aries, but very specific part of your life. And that's what I'm going to talk about, as well as spiritual practices, ways to deal with it, and things like that. So anyway, I hope to see you on that free web class.